Alright, so recently at UFC 311, Merab Dvalishvilli beat Umar Nurmagomedov, and now a lot of people are talking about him as the bantamweight GOAT and how nobody can beat him, and I want to talk about why that is, okay? Let me know if you think Merab is the bantamweight GOAT or not, and while you're down there, I'd really appreciate if you could like, subscribe. We're so close to 500 subs. Anyway, let me get into it. Now, I've been talking about Merab as the bantamweight GOAT since UFC 306 just because his resume is insane, okay? The amount of legends that he's beaten is crazy. But the thing is, Merab is kind of an anomaly because he's just really not that good anywhere, okay? When you look at Merab, like, skill-wise, he's not a very good striker. His jiu-jitsu isn't very good. His wrestling is very good, but it's nothing, like, insane or anything. So how does Merab keep beating all these legends, then? I think the answer is actually very simple. He just has inhuman cardio, okay? You could take PEDs, and your cardio still would not be as good as Merab's. Now, the reason his cardio works so well is a bit more complicated, okay? Now, to get into it, the game plan of his opponents, almost like 99% of the time, is to stay at range and strike with Merab and try to avoid the takedowns, right? Because Merab is a guy who has very, very good takedowns. His takedowns are so, like, technically good, is crazy, but his striking's not very good, so you want to sit there and strike with him, and most of the guys that he's fought have been strikers so far. So then when Merab shoots takedowns on them, their immediate game plan is just to try and, you know, pop back up. And usually that would work because the wrestler's game plan is just to try and hold you there on the ground. If they can't do that, they're going to eventually tire themselves out just shooting takedowns again and again. But that doesn't happen with Merab, okay? This guy will just continually keep shooting again and again, and it will eventually tire you out because you just keep, like, defending and defending. And the thing is, Merab doesn't even have an ability to hold you down. The guy is like that one scene in The Dark Knight when the Joker said he's like a dog chasing a car, he doesn't know what he's going to do when he gets to it. That's like Merab with takedowns. He just shoots and he has no aim to actually hold you down because the guy doesn't even have any ability to, like, ground and pound you or submit you or even hold you there. Like, when you really look at Merab's game, there's never really been a time where Merab has actually, like, held someone down except Aldo against the fence because Aldo just refused to move off the fence. And this just keeps happening every single time. I mean, Petr Yan probably got the worst of it, but I literally said this in my breakdown of Umar versus Merab. I mean, I picked Umar to win the fight, but I said if Umar goes in there and tries to have a striking battle with Merab, it's just not going to work out, and Merab eventually is going to tire him out and he has a very good chance to win. And it's exactly what happened, okay? A lot of people were saying that video did not age well, but I literally said this, okay? He went in with the game plan that I was praying he was not going to have, okay? I thought Khabib would have noticed this with Merab and he was going to try and, you know, prepare a more grappling heavy game plan. Because I think beating Merab, it's not impossible. I just don't think anyone at bantamweight really has that skill set outside of, like, Umar. But Umar obviously just lost to Merab, so he's probably not going to beat him, like, anytime soon. But I think he had the skill set to do so because I'm not a fighter, obviously, but if I were to fight Merab, I think the best way to beat Merab is probably to grapple him because the thing is, his takedowns are his biggest weapon. Like, there's no doubt about it. His wrestling is really not that crazy, okay, when you look at it. Again, I'm not saying he's bad at wrestling or bad at striking or any of that, but it's not, like, elite or anything. So if I were to fight Merab, I'd probably try and take him down because I think that would be the best thing to do because it would just completely nullify his takedowns. He can't take you down if he's on the ground. On top of that, Merab does not have a crazy jiu-jitsu game or anything. He doesn't have a submission game. So I think taking him down would be, you know, probably the best thing to do. But the thing is, it's very hard to do that. Merab's takedown defense, as we saw in, like, against the Umar fight, like, it was very hard. Like, Umar struggled taking Merab down, and Umar has very good takedowns. But I think the way to beat Merab is when he shoots on you, you need to reverse him, which Umar, I think, was able to do a couple times. But I think that is probably the way to beat Merab. I don't think he's completely unbeatable. It's just like, who is going to do that outside of Umar? And, you know, Umar literally just didn't do that. So I don't know who else is going to do that. There's not really that many, like, huge wrestlers at bantamweight right now. It's mostly just strikers, okay? But I want to talk about who has the best chance to beat Merab. But his next opponents are most likely Petr Yan and Alexandre Pantoja. Now I want to talk about Alexandre Pantoja because I actually think he has a very good chance, okay? I don't think he's, like, being overlooked. It's just that Pantoja doesn't really want to go up to bantamweight. So, you know, this fight most likely will not happen. But at the same time, Pantoja doesn't have anyone else to fight, so I could definitely see him going up to bantamweight because Merab also doesn't really have any, like, clear contenders outside of Petr Yan, who he already dominated. But look, I think Pantoja actually has a very good chance to beat Merab. He's basically just Merab if he was good, okay? He has the cardio, he has the chin, except that Pantoja is actually a very good striker, a very underrated striker, and on top of that, his jiu-jitsu game is way better than Merab. So if this did go to the ground, I would be very confident in Pantoja, like, maybe even submitting Merab. But I think Pantoja is just, like, he is just, like, insane, okay? Again, like I said, I think he's just Merab if he was good. But the thing is with Pantoja, he might be kind of small to fight Merab. That's probably a big fear because Merab is a huge bantamweight. So I think if him and Pantoja fought, it would really come down to how much bigger Merab is than Pantoja on that night. But I'd probably pick Pantoja to win that fight, whether it's by decision or finish. I don't really know. I know that might be kind of like a crazy pick right now, but I genuinely think Pantoja has a very good chance at beating Merab. It really is just the size thing there. Now, for Petr Yan, on the other hand, I think this fight is way closer, okay? But the thing is, with Petr Yan, he's kind of evolved from that first Merab fight. I know he got absolutely dominated and like basically embarrassed. I mean, he got 50-45 by Merab. That was the worst beating Merab has ever done to anyone. But the thing is, with Petr Yan, he kind of has PTSD now. If you look at the Song Yadong fight, it's like anytime anyone shoots on Yan now, this guy just sprawls to the other side of the octagon, bro. I think this guy genuinely has PTSD from Merab and like has nightmares about it. So I think he's actually learned his lesson and probably won't try and like strike with Merab this time, because if you watch the Davidson-Figueiredo fight, he wrestled a lot more and his wrestling looked really good. I think if he fought Merab, he's probably like learned his lesson, because I think that's probably what happens if you fight Merab, because we haven't really seen him in a lot of rematches. But I think if you fight Merab, you probably learn your lesson the first time that you do not want to do that ever again and try and get, try and defend the takedowns. You probably want to try and take him down at least once just to see what happens. And I think Petr Yan definitely has the ability to do that just because his wrestling is so good. And, like the skills that he has in his pocket are also very like crafty. So, and obviously he's a better boxer there as well than Merab. So I think he'd be winning on the feet, and on the ground maybe he'd be able to even like take Merab down. So I think Petr Yan has a very good chance, but it's like, after the first fight, there's no way I can be confident in Petr Yan winning that fight. So, I think that's a very close one. I think Merab could win that. I think Petr Yan could win that. Now, outside of those two, I think those are like the most likely next matchups. But outside of that, there's Sean O'Malley, Umar Nurmagomedov, and, a couple other guys. Now, with Sean O'Malley, I think this guy just has no chance. Like, out of all the guys, I think Sean O'Malley is the guy who's absolutely most cooked against Merab. Because, like, the first time, I think Merab was too scared. I don't think this guy was fully confident if you watch that fight. He was terrified of Sean O'Malley's power, after the Aljamain fight. But I think this time around, he's going to be way less scared and he's going to be way more aggressive considering how bad he dominated him. It wasn't really a domination, but you know what I mean. Like, he beat him the first time. I think second time he's going to be way more confident against Sean O'Malley. Probably won't get chinned, because he didn't get chinned the first time. He's going to be way more confident. And I think he'd probably absolutely destroy Sean O'Malley. And for Umar, I think Umar, people are saying that Merab embarrassed Umar. Now, I don't really know if you can watch that fight with your eyes open and say Merab embarrassed Umar, but, like, apart from all the emoting at the end, like, bro, I'm just saying, this guy was busting out all the 200 V-Buck emotes. Like, I don't think that was an embarrassment, okay? I know people are going to say I'm coping, but, like, bro, Umar literally, like, outskilled Merab in the first 2 rounds everywhere. I think Umar has a very good chance at beating Merab. It's just, like, I don't really know if he will, just because, again, the game plan he had the first time round, like, just to try and strike with Merab, like, I don't think it's even a cardio thing. It's just, like, that is how Merab fights. Like, you can have, like, really good cardio. It's never going to be as good as Merab's, okay? So I don't think, Umar really has a cardio issue. But if he just can get cardio from, like, 5 more minutes, if he could just win the 3rd round, I think he'd probably beat Merab. But, again, like, I don't know. Like, I just don't think it's, like, a cardio thing that Umar can just improve. Because Umar, he had decent cardio already. So, I don't know. I think that Umar fight is very close. Now, as for the worst stylistic matchup for Merab right now, I really think it's Cory Sandhagen, which might be crazy, but, like, bro, Cory Sandhagen, I really think he's like a stylistic nightmare for Merab, because he's a guy with very, very good striking, okay, even though last time he turned into, like, Corey Nerdhagen and his striking was awful, but, look, his defensive grappling is, like, so good to where I think if Merab shot a takedown on Cory Sandhagen, this guy's not going to sit there and try and defend against the fence like, Umar and, Petr Yan and Aldo did, okay? They're not just going to try and pop straight back up. When Cory Sandhagen was, like, getting shot by Umar. So when Umar shot on Cory Sandhagen would roll. He would Grammy roll. And that worked really well. And I think it worked even better against Merab. Because, look, Umar's wrestling ability is so good to where when Cory Sandhagen was rolling, he basically was just attached to his back. But the thing is, if Merab did that, I don't think Merab is going to be able to stay on his back the same way Umar was. I think Cory Sandhagen, if he was on top and he can land some good shots, I definitely think he could take a couple rounds off Merab and probably win like a 48-47. But yeah, that's everyone who I think can beat Merab. I still think Merab is the bantamweight GOAT, bro. I don't think anyone's going to be beating this guy anytime soon. And yeah, that's going to be it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. All right.